Murder Drones is a show created by Glitch. And one of the most unique characteristics of the show is the overwhelming amount of meta humor it has. For those of you who have never seen the show, in almost every scene of this series, there's a piece of dialogue or text that takes you out of the show and really points out that, hey, this is a cartoon lol, don't take it seriously. The ultimate version of the MCU's self-aware humor.
I'm sneaking to the murder drone lair tonight to get the last spare part I need to save the world with it and earn my dad's respect and stuff.
The humans programmed us to solve a problem. Where's proof of your backstory? MacGuffin.
Some people like it, others not so much. I personally don't mind, since it allows me to not take the show seriously and just enjoy the ride. But I can't help but wonder, why? Why is there so much meta language in this show? Almost unapologetically pointing out the fact that it's a silly fictional series. Well, the real answer is that Liam Vickers wanted to be quirky. But seriously, why do the characters talk like that? Murder drones have shit like this happen. So it just makes the self-aware humor more jarring.
I'm a damaged OC.
So, what if there's more going on here? What if all these meta humor and dialogues are hints to the secret story of murder drones? You see, there's one specific scene in the pilot that convinced me to make this video, convinced me that there is something else going on in the show.
You've got a lot of guts for a barely sentient toaster. I've had prey fight back before, but you're edgy. I've had prey fight back before.
Why did Jay's face display that? It's such an odd detail to add, like why there is specific MP3 audio for this monologue. And later on, Uzi has a edge level? Why is that a thing? Is that just something built into these robots? And these ideas aren't just something within episode 1. In episode 3, Uzi's face showed a guilt active screen? I can accept robots having feelings and free will, but all these little quirky visual gags make them seem like they were programmed to be this way. And maybe that's the case. What if these robots were designed to have specific dialogue and character traits? Jay was programmed to have this specific monologue at this moment. Uzi is supposed to be angsty. And there's literally a character named Final Girl in the cabin horror episode.
Oh, thank Robo God, Final Girl!
Her name is her role in the story. Why do these simple worker bots have these character traits and roles? Because they are acting in a TV show. Hear me out, lads. I think that Murder Drones is a show in universe. They were never worker drones. They are in fact actor drones, built to fulfill their assigned roles and make an exciting show. Step back, folks, because after this video, you may never see Murder Drones the same way again. This is my Murder Drones television show theory. And yes, I am ripping off Alex Bale. It's what I do.
We've got to have money.
More like you are our cute puppets. It hurts our feelings you don't remember us.
As I stated already, these robots are not actually worker drones, but actor drones, fulfilling their roles for this show. So, are they actual actors then? Sentient robots given a script to follow and act out? I don't think so. From what I've seen, these drones are made to truly believe what they are and the situation is real.
The One Piece is real!
And not an old amplification. Well, most of them at least. The reason why they speak and write in meta language is because their programming consists of story beats, character arcs, and all other aspects of storytelling. Hell, Uzi literally has the hero's journey on her presentation and refers to their situation as
It's like we're waiting for an inciting incident!
one of the elements of the hero's journey. Words and concepts like that are normal for them due to their nature as drones built for storytelling. It's colloquialism. Meta language to us is just language to them. But what about the humans? Both from N's flashbacks and the human scientist from episode 8 talk like that.
That dress!
You hold that gun less cool this instant, Miss.
I am holding strong, sir. Now.
The robots. At least the ones that are wearing masks in episode 7. Cyn proves that fleshy robots can be a thing in this universe. Hell, the drones themselves are already pretty fleshy, so it's not that hard to believe that these so-called humans are robots themselves, programmed to believe they are humans to make this specific scene. But if that's the case, what about the digital humans from N's Matter flashbacks? Well, they're not real. The flashback is just virtual reality, which is why the humans look like that. It's not a real memory, just a fabrication for N and the others to go through. These digital humans are no different to an NPC, like the digital circus NPCs.
Extra thick!
Or maybe everyone in this universe talks like that, I don't know. I feel like a lot of glitch shows just have meta humor for no reason.
Are you coming on to me? Yeah, that's what everybody wants. A straight couple.
So, these drones are sentient, but the plot happens because they are influenced to follow a certain story beat, go through certain character arcs. They're not in full control of the situation. Think of it less like a scripted TV show and more of a reality show or an RPG game. There is a plot to follow, but how the story progresses and what happens in between is up to the drones in the show. However, there are scripted moments built into these robots. That's why Jay has a specific monologue built for this pilot scene. But why? Why build these drones for this show? Because it makes the scenes where they get brutally murdered and traumatized more believable and fun. It's fucked up like that. Also, it probably saves time on having to rehearse and shit. But hold on, some of you may say. These characters have lore, history, physical history. The entire world is proof that things happened before the show. How can you say none of these are real? The murder drone's so-called history is nothing but fabrication. These artifacts are nothing but props and set dressing that didn't exist until recently. Their memories of the past were planted there. They are robots after all. But if the setting and history are pre-made, but then why are certain texts meta as well? As if they're made by the drones. Well, some of them might just be made by the drones themselves, like the posters and other forms of writing. They probably didn't start living at the start of the pilot. They probably had a week or two of just chilling and making the world feel more lived in. But what about those that don't involve the drones? Like this one about evacuating dogs from the planet. They're Easter eggs, both in and out of universe, fun little texts left by the creators themselves, and since the drone's language consists of meta talk, they won't think the Easter eggs to be anything weird. Okay, but how about the shots? How are the showrunners getting these shots for the show? Because you see, Murder Drones is clearly recorded through a camera. Just take a look at the dirt and grime you can see on the lens. Or how about all the lens flare? It's like a fucking Michael Bay movie. Man, they do not like the epileptic. Well, let me tell you two ways they're doing it. One is just through the Murder Drone's vision. Take a look at this one scene. The way N is shot here, it looks like it's coming from V's perspective. So they just grab footage from the drone's visions and use that. Another way is this. Why do these robot roaches exist? Some have plot points, but most of them are just there. Why were they created? Well, I think they act as cameras, being able to fly around, record, and get the shots they need for the show when a POV character's perspective isn't enough. And yeah, that's it.
That's it?
That's my theory. The robots in Murder Drones are actually built for this show. But if that's the case, who cares?
Who cares?
I could say that this makes the murder drone story a metaphor for destiny or some shit. But no one wants to hear that. It's like Pixar movies having those behind the scene bits. Yeah, it's fun to think that these movies are traditionally filmed and not animated, but really, it doesn't change the story itself. See you later, guys. But I can't stop thinking, it can't be that simple, right? If you've seen the show, you would know that Murder Drones has some writing problems. It doesn't mean the show is bad, I still like it, but it makes the show flawed. So what if there's an in-universe explanation for the show's writing problems? What if the story isn't as solid as it could have been because one of the characters was too uncontrollable for the showrunners?
You're all puppets. Tangled in strings.
Uzi was smarter than the showrunners thought. The basic structure of the show is this. Episode 1 to episode 5, we see Uzi slowly transform into a fucked up version of the Murder Drones, and then slowly reveal the true origins of the Murder Drones. It was a fairly comprehensible plot. Then Jay and Tessa show up and episode 6 to 8 happens. Elements established for the show was dropped. We are rushed into this messy reveal that Tessa was actually Cyn, and overall, the plot just became really weak. At least in my opinion. Liam Vickers, I promise I like your show, and I respect you as an artist. I'm just a critical dickhead, that's all. Well, what if I told you this isn't how the story was supposed to go? At least in a meta world of the show. I theorized that this show was originally going to be longer, perhaps going up to episode 10 or 15 even. Episode 1 to 5 happened mostly how they're supposed to, but after those 5 episodes, our main trio was supposed to head to space to visit Earth, and that was where they would see that Earth was ruined because of Cyn. Why do I say this? Well, in the pilot, they put such an emphasis on the ship's ability to fly.
This isn't just a landing pod. This is a spaceship. This could get us off the planet.
Hell, they went out of their way to have Uzi design the ship here, but it's never brought up again. Not to mention, it's established here that N is a pilot.
Did you know that was a pilot hack?
I was the pilot?
But that only leads to N rescuing Uzi in space in the final episode. Getting off the planet was the original plan, how the story was going to go. But Uzi started questioning things, propping questions she shouldn't have.
The humans sent you without a communication relay and reformatted your memories to soup.
Covering their tracks means they're past negotiating.
Jay was getting orders from someone. If not the company through that relay, then who and how?
Now, we are supposed to believe that this was in reference to Cyn. But what if Uzi was never meant to investigate the origins of the Murder Drones? At least, not after the Silver J plot point. What if she started getting suspicious of their true nature? Uzi was too uncontrollable for the showrunners. However, her mind wasn't the only thing that was too uncontrollable, because her absolute solver program started acting up way too early, acting up as early as the pilot. Within the camp episode, I believe that final girl was supposed to survive, and this preppy girl was supposed to die in her place. It just makes sense with how this trope goes. But both Uzi and her solver program had gone so unpredictable that they were going off script. If it wasn't for Anne stopping Uzi here, the show would have been completely ruined, as she goes and kills all the characters of the show. It's clear that Uzi's solver is different from the Murder Drones and Cyn. Perhaps the showrunners implanted this solver to her too quickly, unable to work out his kinks and quirks. How do they solve this? We'll get to that later. Though, if Uzi, the main character of the show, was being such a problem for the showrunners, this show should have been cancelled, right? Well, what if I told you that some of the cast of characters isn't who they appear to be? Having oblivious AI can be risky, as showcased by Uzi. So they have drones who are aware it's a show, influence the characters and point them in the right direction, making sure they don't go too far off the script. But which drones are working for the showrunners? Well, the first one is none other than the man Tad. Tell me, why is Tad showcased so much in this show? I mean, he's just a guy who does practically nothing for most of the runtime, and yet the show treats him like he is doing something. Look at this aura shot he got at the end of episode 9. He doesn't deserve that. Hell, Preppy Girl does more than him. Well, Tad may not do much in the show, but outside of it, he is integral to keeping the show going. Tad is one of the few characters who's friendly to both Uzi and the murder drones, despite everyone else seeing them as dangerous or cringe. The reason why is to keep tabs on them, deliver information to the showrunners, and stop them from going too off script. Isn't it convenient that he went out of his way in episode 2 to not only provide Uzi's gun, but also direct them back home to deal with Jay's Silver?
I don't think the colony's even serious about all this banishment stuff. They're more just confused, especially with the recent disappearances and your murder friend's corpse.
We can return a little.
Also, wasn't he so lucky to not be killed by Jay's Silver, unlike the other drones, despite Jay's Silver having plenty of time to do so?
Yes, and hello, it's me, Tad. Can I get a location? I heard dentist office. I'm Tad at the dentist office. Come over here for your teeth.
Particularly terrible work, Jay. Why do you look so
Great, you look great, Jay. No, wait, guys, it's really me.
Is that really me this hard?
Lifesavers again. Thanks.
This is because, as an agent for the showrunners, Jay Silver was programmed to spare Tad, so he could continue spying on the main characters. And furthermore, even though he was present earlier in the camp episode, Tad was nowhere to be seen later on, and spared from being threatened by a crazed Uzi, as if he knew what was going to happen and hid to be far away from the carnage. Alright, that's one guy, but who are the others? Well, our second informant is none other than a teacher. I mean, he spends his entire time fairly relaxed, even when the entire world is ending, as if he knew that nothing bad is going to happen to him, probably knowing that the world is going to be fixed once the climax happens. And also, he's the teacher that brought all the students to the camp, even though there was no reason to, leading to them to die during Uzi's carnage. That's because he knew that this was what the plot needed. If that's the case, why is he hitting his head at the end of the series? Because this is the moment he realizes that the show is ending, and he is uncertain what will happen next for him or his kind, and he can't help but feel guilty for what he had done. Or he's just annoyed at Uzi, I don't know.
Oh, and this magnetically amplified photon converter doesn't count?
No.
Now, let's talk about Jay and Cyn, who aren't only working for the showrunners, but also have more going on with them. Like I said, the show we saw wasn't how it was originally supposed to go, especially how Jay and Cyn were introduced. In the pilot, we see 3 ships charging for the planet. However, in episode 5, probably days after they were established to be coming, 2 of those ships were filled with toys, while 1 ship contained Jay and Cyn. Isn't it strange how that happened? Almost as if the ending part of the pilot, perhaps containing more characters and murder drones, was retconned. That's not even a solely theory thing. What actually fucking happened here? Does anyone know? Liam, what the fuck? Okay, back to theory talk. Here's what I think happened in universe. Jay was quickly brought back since they didn't have time to develop and prepare other characters, with Uzi becoming suspicious of her situation and her solver becoming more unstable. Since they already had a spare J drone and already fitted the context of the show, she was chosen to be one of the villains for the climax. Also, she's good for merchandising. But what about Cyn? Could she also be an agent for the showrunners? Well, not only she is one, but she's also the showrunner's best and most loyal servant. Hear me out. Not that kind of hear me out, you freaks.
New cartoon crush.
I mean really hear me out. One of the main reasons she was brought in so early as Tessa was so she could telepathically control Uzi's solver. All the times Uzi's solver turned yellow is because Cyn, the physical version of Cyn, not the program version, the person here, is using her powers to not only control Uzi's solver, but also develop the plot. With Cyn in close proximity to Uzi, she could keep an eye on Uzi and stop her solver from acting up when needed. Also, Cyn being unable to control Uzi at this one part?
Annoying. Sorry, just me in here.
Bullshit! Cyn is still able to control Uzi, but she lets Uzi win over her for the sake of plot and character development. At least, the character development Uzi is supposed to have, declaring that she's free for some reason.
I think dumb things are frickin' cool, and
It's likely this is a pre-programmed script from Uzi being played out, like Jay's best monologue ever speech. But since the show had to be rushed, the speech played but didn't have the proper setup for it. Cyn is also the main antagonist and so will be the best agent for the showrunners, since she's the one directly influencing the characters. Furthermore, with all the feats she had in the final fight, she could have won if she took it seriously. But in reality, she was just fucking around. Look how much fun she's having, as if she knows this is all just make-believe and not that serious. Also, why the fuck did she hand the pickaxe to Uzi? She could have easily thrown it with more force to try and hurt her. But nah, she just handed it to her. Like this is a stage play, and she was just helping her fellow actors out. And what if I told you, not only she let herself lose, but also let herself be absorbed by Uzi. You know why? Because now that she's inside Uzi, she can not only have better control of Uzi's solver, but also better control of Uzi herself. Under Cyn's influence, Uzi will be unable to figure out the true existence of their kind, being products for a show, with Cyn dumbing down her mind and keeping her on a leash. Oh, Uzi, you are anything but. And within the music video, not only is Cyn the one who started the entire plot of the video, so that the showrunners have something to record for the music video, but out of all the characters, why is Cyn the one who is rapping?
Can you hear it? The drums of war. Do you fear it? The future you're unprepared for within you. Evil capacity. It has a name. It has a voice. It's me.
Because she is putting on a show for the audience. Also, the rap implies she's growing stronger and could take over Uzi's body. I guess season 2 is confirmed. So, what happens to the drones? Well, I don't really know. But it looks like they just get to live their life. Yeah, they get to continue living their life. These 19-year-olds who are still attending high school. Are they just a bunch of dumb fucks, or is this a yandere simulator situation?
Oh my lord.
Though, the drones are still being monitored by the showrunners in case they want to make more money out of them.
Get on the chin and don't forget who's running the show!
So, who's behind this mess? Liam Vickers. Well, obviously it's JC Jensen, right? I mean, it only makes sense. They're the only company we know of that exists within this universe. Hell, in the pilot, It sounded like they were advertising their products in this clip.
Damn the well-made, quality-assured durability of JC Jensen products!
But that can't be, considering how negatively the company is represented in the show, treating the drones badly and accidentally wiping themselves off. It would be like if Disney makes a documentary showing how much they overwork and put pressure on their employees. Oh wait.
And there's one statement at the very end of episode 4 from producer Peter Del Vecchio which really stuck with me. He says,
"We've never missed a release date, and there's no way this is gonna be the first one."
It genuinely feels like this man is being held at gunpoint.
So, who is the showrunners of the show? Well, I only have one possible candidate. There is a massive motif of skulls in the show. It's the symbol for the underground lab. The skulls are stickers on Uzi's gun, and they're even on her bag. They can be found all over the place. It's like a company's signature. But what company's logo is a skull? I don't know. Yeah, really, I don't know. I scrubbed through the series, and there isn't any entertainment company that has the skull logo. I fucked up. Why did I keep this part of the script? Oh well, that's it I guess. Bye bye. Hold on, are you guys seeing this? It's Glitch's channel logo, a skull. And what's this thing next to it? It's a link to their merch, specifically murder drones. And look, it's J. She's best selling apparently. I don't want to know what kind of people are buying her. Hold on, hold the fuck on. It could be. Could they? Is Glitch the company behind murder drones? They have the merch, even an ad that features N.
Why beg for everyone I want when I already have everyone I need?
You a beta cuck.
He probably has no idea this footage is being used for an ad, and he's just venting. And look at this short.
Hey, I'm writing a paper on freaks of nature. If you could describe Uzi in one word, what would it be? Robot.
We don't know who's recording this, but it's likely it's another spy for the showrunners, aka Glitch, so they can make this short for their channel. Furthermore, in episode 5, it opens as normal, but then they show the Glitch logo as part of the world before the JC Henson logo. They're canon in universe. And if that is true, what if this isn't their only show to be like this? What if, instead of using robots, they use human consciousness?
Welcome to the amazing digital circus! My name is Kane.
Who are you people? Where am I?
If there was a way to leave, I'm pretty sure we'd have all left by now.
Welcome to your new home. And your new body.
A new home? What do you mean?
Hashtag cancel glitch. Hashtag cancel glitch. They promote the use of AI and slavery. This video is going to be a pain to make. I just know it, judging by how long the script is. But if you made it all the way here, at least I know I did my job and you at least enjoyed yourself. However, if you want to watch more of my theories, why not check out my 2 digital circus theory videos? And hey, if you want to hear my full thoughts on murder drones, check out my old review of it here.